Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their upcoming books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about their new Star Wars TV shows and movies that are currently in the works by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and others out there that are joining Lucasfilm, including director Peyton Reed, that's really going to be involved in a lot of upcoming Star Wars shows. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe between Favreau and Filoni is that they are all about satisfying the fandom at this point. They realize that the fan is divided, and that the fans have a lot of criticism over the Star Wars franchise right now after what happened with the Kenobi series especially, and also with the sequels, let's not forget about that. But where we are today, alright, is a very important time, because leading up to what's about to happen in 2023, which by the way is where many of the important shows are going to play a big role in convincing the fans whether or not Star Wars is turning around or not, and Favreau and Filoni have said this many times, that they're very optimistic that Star Wars is really going to enter a golden age, if you will, quote unquote, next year, and also in 2024, so keep your eyes open. Now, on top of this too, what's even all the more intriguing has a lot to do with creator George Lucas. Now, one thing that we do know about George Lucas right now is that he's very involved with John and Dave's work. He's looking over everything, he's talking with them all the time, giving them ideas, giving them the okay on certain things. So he's very involved and has been for a while now. However, recently what's really exciting has a lot to do with a big deal that he recently signed. So with creator George Lucas actively involved in multiple Star Wars projects right now as we speak with Favreau and Filoni, it's noted, however, that just recently, George just signed a very special deal with Disney when it involves Lucasfilm and the Star Wars franchise, and how it involves, of course, other projects as well, and how he will be involved for the new Star Wars movies and TV shows for Disney Plus and for theatrical releases. This Disney, of course, deal that Lucas recently signed is set to involve him as a co-writer for at least 5 Star Wars projects, an advisor for over 10 Star Wars projects, and of course appearing as a cameo in multiple Star Wars TV shows as minor characters that will be the equivalent of Stan Lee making cameos as a character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and also a handful of directing roles for some episodes in upcoming Star Wars shows by Favreau and Filoni for Disney Plus. Now, this big deal that George signed is described to also give him privileges to calling many shots and decisions on the creative end of Star Wars when it comes to the movies and TV shows, and that this is the decision that Disney wanted to make in order to assure that they can turn things around for the franchise and catch and cater to the fans that enjoy George's vision of Star Wars. Now, let me just pause here quickly for a second. Now, for those of you that are very unaware, alright, George Lucas is doing something very important here. He's basically bringing Star Wars back to its roots, and he's involved with all these different projects, TV shows or movies, whatever have you. He is very involved now after signing this big deal. Now, the thing that really excites me the most out of all of this, believe it or not, are the cameos that he's going to appear as in the Star Wars universe. Now, we already know that he's going to be coming back as Baron Papanoida in one of the Favreau and Filoni projects. Now, for those of you that don't know, George did play a character called Baron Papanoida very shortly, for like 2 seconds max, in Revenge of the Sith. He was all dressed up. It's when Anakin Skywalker is running past him. You see him for a split second, and you do have a couple of behind-the-scenes photos on there. I'll try to remember to put those in here. But Lucas, alright, is going to be involved in having cameos, multiple cameos, and different minor characters as cameos in all these different Star Wars shows. So that's one great thing to look forward to. But the other thing that I think really excites me is how He's going to be involved as a co-writer for multiple Star Wars projects, both theatrical releases and TV shows on Disney+. And I think that this is a big wake-up call now for Disney, that this is probably the best way to go about doing things. They know that George is up there in age. He can't make a whole trilogy or movies or shows on his own, most likely. You know, he's 78 years old. He's got a lot of things on his plate. You know, he's got a family and such. So he's got a lot of things, you know, that cannot be worked on. That's exactly why this deal pretty much allows him as a co-writer, making minor character cameos, and directing, but not entire TV shows, but standalone episodes within TV shows, if that makes sense. So, on top of this, additionally, Lucas is always, of course, in communication with Favreau and Filoni, either in person or remotely, about how the new shows and movies will be developed and worked on, and giving them the okay on certain Star Wars Legends material for the fans. Now, one big project that Lucas is set to become a co-writer for is Star Wars Underworld, the original first live-action series that was cancelled back in 2007, that is now getting revived by Disney and allowing George to bring it back, which will feature the aftermath of Order 66 through the eyes of the Jedi, crime lords, and others as well. Now, let me just pause here. For those of you that don't know, Underworld was basically George's original big plan to bring Star Wars to television, to basically give fans a live-action series on TV. At the time, he wanted to actually be on a real, you know, channel on television, because streaming services did not exist. So it would have reached a wider audience, without a doubt. You know, I wouldn't have been too surprised if it would have appeared on ABC or something like that, maybe. But when you look at something like this, this is basically the best way to revive George's legacy. They are allowing him to make certain decisions, coming on board as a director for key episodes of certain series, and of course coming on board as a co-writer for multiple Star Wars shows and or movies. Not as a main writer, but as a co-writer, which makes a lot of sense. So Lucas is very involved now. I mean, things are really going to begin to change around by 2023, 24, 25. Those are the key years, by the way. Those 3 years are what Disney is really focused on. Because those 3 years, they have to create a consistent flow of Star Wars TV shows that are going to be very positive, with great fan feedback, that's going to convince fans and even newcomers that this franchise is 100% hot and rising. That's what they want to do. So that brings us to the final thing here, is that George, believe it or not, is actually in the talks right now with Disney executives on how Legends material is going to come back in a very equal and balanced manner. So basically what that means is how they're going to be able to mix Legends with the already existing Star Wars canon material, and how they can make things as accurate as possible. That's what they're trying to figure out right now. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.